Good evening, good folks, and welcome to the City of Muskegon City Commission General Session for this Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. Before we get on with our meeting, I do want to remind folks that we have excuse the mint in my mouth, so it sounds a little obstructed. Sorry about that. I do want to remind folks that we do have a couple public comment periods as well as public hearing. And so during the public comment periods, I encourage folks, if you want to speak during any of the public comment periods or hearings, to in the back of the room fill out a comment sheet. Please provide your name and home address. And if it is on an agenda item, please indicate which agenda item it is. Note that while you are providing your home address on the form, I am not going to be announcing it publicly nor asking you to announce it publicly. It is just for our records. I will acknowledge if you're a city resident, which neighborhood you're joining us from, and if you're not a city resident, which other township, village, or city you may be joining us from. Everyone during public comment has up to 3 minutes to provide their remarks. We do allow phone-in comments as well, so if you're not able to join us in person, keep an eye out for the phone that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen when it's time for public comment and call in. Just so you have that number handy, but do not call right this second. That number is 231-724-6721. All right. We don't have a guest pastor or faith leader to lead us in prayer this evening, so we're going to have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you wish to join us for either of those activities, I do ask that you stand if you're so able to do so. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have roll call, please?
Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Kilgo.
Here.
Commissioner German.
Here.
Commissioner Gorman.
Here.
Commissioner Cochin.
Here.
Thank you. All right, I have a couple of public comment forms received. These are for general public comment at the end of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who has not filled out a public comment form but does wish to give input on an agenda item? All right, seeing no takers, we are going to go to the phones, and that number is 231-724-6721. You are calling. This is for comment on an agenda item or items. When you're calling in, please identify yourself, and if you're a city resident, which neighborhood you're calling from, and if you're not a city resident, which township, village, or city, and then also share with us the agenda item that you're going to be speaking on. Again, that number is 231-724-6721. All right, no calls, no takers. All right, commissioners, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. You've had an opportunity to remove or review the consent agenda. Are there any items you wish to remove for separate consideration and vote? Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Item D is in David, E is in Edward, and F is in Frank.
All right, thank you, Commissioner German. Any other items, commissioners? Commissioner Cochin.
I want a point of clarification on this because I don't want to do if it's going to be extremely long, but I was thinking about pulling item I just so we're recognizing those folks publicly. Is it going to be like a really long thing or?
Could you,
Just like to recognize the people that we selected for the CRC positions.
like, you want to name them all?
Well,
Is what you're saying?
Well, I wasn't sure like how we would do that typically if we pull it from the consent agenda. So I want confirmation.
If you pull it off from the consent agenda, you can name them all if you want. If you want to leave it on the consent agenda, but then just share a few words or remarks about, that item without getting into in depth, then you can do so.
That sounds good.
Under
Okay,
consent
then
agenda. Okay. Any other items, commissioners? And then, which one? H, please. And then H. We do need to have H removed as well. We'll have staff speak on it, and then we'll have an updated motion. So whomever wishes to take that motion at that time. All right. So, commissioners, if there are no others items for removal, then I would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented, minus items D, E, F, and H.
So move.
And
You do want I
I
removed.
do want
Oh,
to,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry. And I removed.
So moved.
Support.
We got a motion by Commissioner Kilgo, supported by Commissioner German, to adopt the consent agenda as presented, minus items D, E, F, H, and I. Roll call, please.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item D, amendment to the marijuana facilities overlay district. Commissioner German.
Yes, I move to deny the request to amend section 2331 of the zoning ordinance as proposed. Amendment to the marijuana facility overlay district.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner German, supported by Commissioner Kilgo. Good evening, sir. Care to identify yourself and report out on this item for us?
Sure. Mike Franzak, Planning Director. This was not a staff-initiated request. This was from a private business, the Grassy Knoll, who in 2024, they did apply for 24-hour sales, and they were ultimately denied that ordinance amendment request. And this time they wanted to make it until 2 a.m., but they did not provide any language with their application. So we held on to their application for a few months and asked them to write the ordinance. They sent a couple versions and we gave back some comments, and they didn't make any changes the last time, but came back and said they wanted to submit it this way. And I wanted to let them know that the way it's written really makes it difficult for the rest of the businesses. It actually only identifies their time they can operate and eliminates any other times. So I recommended that they bring that back, but I didn't want to hold up their application, so I would bring it to the January Planning Commission meeting if I didn't hear otherwise, and we did not. So they did not attend the Planning Commission meeting either. This is the process to take this through. So we're recommending denial, not based on anything saying that you shouldn't be open till 2, but rather just the way it was written doesn't make it fair for anybody else.
And the Planning Commission unanimously concurred with that
Correct,
recommendation.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Franzik. Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Director Francis, and thanks for the clarification. You answered some of the questions that I was going to ask, but also, are there other interested parties, marijuana dispensaries, looking to extend their hours? Have you had that request?
Yeah, I have heard it from some, not everyone. We are talking about putting out a survey to some of these businesses, I think. We talked about holding a summit, but I think we can accomplish some of the questions get answered that we're wondering, and that probably should be one of them. Like to do that, but I do know that there has been some other companies shown interest in that.
Okay. Do you know any in other close neighboring cities?
Kalamazoo is the closest, I believe, that has 24-hour sales.
Okay.
I think they only have 1 or 2 stores that participate, though, even though they're all allowed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Commissioner.
Thank you. Are the Grassy Knoll representatives here this evening?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. That's my only question.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, anything else to ask or add on this item? No? Yes, Commissioner Kilgo.
Just a point of information. Voting yes is denying.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Director Franzik. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. It's a good thing you didn't go anywhere because the next two items are also planning related. Commissioner German, with regard to amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the request to the amendment zoning ordinance and replace all instances of single-family residential districts with neighborhood residential districts as proposed for the amendment to the zoning.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner German, supported by Commissioner Kilgo.
So this is just a follow-up now that zoning reform has passed. We didn't want to include these amendments with the other ones just because it gets a little talking about too many different things. So now that we don't have single-family zoning districts anymore, it still references it several times throughout the planning, the zoning ordinance. So we just want to clean that document up, and wherever it says single-family zoning districts, that should be referring to our neighborhood residential districts.
Thank you, Director Franzik. Commissioner German.
Okay, so again, you're saying we're just rewording pretty
Yes.
much, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because yeah, and I guess I just feel this is something that should have been brought the first time when we did the zoning reform. What was the rationale for not doing it then or bringing it back now?
Well, when we were talking about the different zoning amendments, there was quite a few. There was like 6 or 7 of them. And all this is doing is once it's approved, it's just referring back to this in several different situations throughout the ordinance, saying you shall comply with the screenage standards in the single-family residential district. Well, that doesn't exist anymore now that it passed. So now that it's passed, we're just calling it the neighborhood residential district. We wouldn't have need those changes if the zoning amendments had failed, so we
Right,
didn't bring
right.
it forward at that time.
Yeah, and I think at the time I didn't vote in favor of that. Given the fact that this has been passed and to move the ball forward, that was my reasoning for pulling this off and asking the questions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Commissioner Kilgo, as the supporter of the motion. Commissioners, anything else you wish to ask or add? All right, so there's just some clerical housekeeping to get our the entirety of our zoning code in alignment with the recent changes we've made. All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes,
Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you. Next item, amendment to Article 2 of the zoning ordinance to create definitions for duplexes and triplexes. Another clerical housekeeping within our zoning.
Yeah.
Commissioner German.
Yep. Thanks again, Mayor. I move to approve the request to amend Article 2 of the zoning ordinance to create definitions for duplexes and triplexes as proposed.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner German, supported by Commissioner Kilgo.
So we do have a definition for duplex, but it's listed under two-family residential. So basically, we're just calling it a duplex because that's how we refer to it in more of our newer documents, especially the form-based code. So we just want to make that uniform. Technically, we didn't have a definition for triplex, but the ordinance does say to refer to the Merriam-Webster definition in the dictionary. So we just felt it was proper to actually identify it because it's a word that pops up a lot now since it's allowed in our neighborhood residential district. Planning Commission actually made a recommendation to tweak the language a little bit so they're a little bit more uniform, which is appreciated. I think that'll read a lot better in the ordinance, but they're pretty standard definitions.
All right, thank you, Director Franzik. Commissioner German.
Yes. Thank you, Director Francis, for that explanation. Just gives clarity to what the ordinance is, and I guess so it's consistent. So, yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes. How soon do you see us changing our definition for family?
We are going to be talking about it at the March work session, I believe. We've been working on that a lot today and this past month because We've been asked to look at a single room occupancy definition in ordinance, but the way our family definition is written is very, very outdated. We actually pulled out the old zoning ordinances today back to 1925, and they really haven't changed much, although families have changed a lot. So it's definitely time to update that, and we want to have a pretty good discussion on that in March at the work session.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Commissioners, anything to ask or add? All right. Thank you, Director Franzik. Roll call, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, purchase of 1932 and 1967 Reynolds. Will you kindly introduce yourself and
Hi,
address this issue for us?
I am Sam Poulos. I am the planning department's code coordinator here with the city.
Good evening and welcome. And so you've got some things to share with us before we make a motion on this item.
Yes, after our city attorney, John Schreier, reviewed the purchase agreement for this, he found some issues with number 16. And we're asking that the purchase agreement be approved, deleting that number 16. And I'm sure he can tell you better, but it has to do with indemnification and that we can't legally agree to protect someone from liability.
So the motion would need to include language striking out section 16 titled prior owner purchase.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase agreement for 1932 and 1967 Reynolds Street, Muskegon, Michigan, 49442 for $7,000 and authorize the code owner to sign with the caveat that section 16 prior owner purchase is removed from the agreement.
Support.
Sure.
So moved.
All right. We have a motion by Vice Mayor St. Clair, supported by Commissioner Gorman. Commissioners, do you have anything to ask or share on this item before we vote? Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes. So we are striking the actual waiver part of it, or we're striking the entire line 16,
The entire paragraph
the
16.
entire paragraph. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners? Nope, seeing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo.
I apologize. One quick question. Are we purchasing these from the land bank?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
And Commissioner German.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Poulos. Next up, we have public hearings.
All right.
Aye.
Oh my goodness, sorry. Commissioner
Don't want to do it. I
Commissioner
get it.
Cochin, approve the Community Relations Committee recommendations.
So I move to approve the CRC recommendations for board positions.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Cochin, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair, to approve the CRC recommendations for board positions. Commissioner Cochin.
Yes, I just wanted to pull this item to kind of celebrate everybody who came to the recognition night and stayed because it was kind of a lengthy event, and who also applied and will be appointed to these positions, and those who are returning to their positions from previous years. I also wanted to note that we do still have some open positions, so please go online and look to apply if you're weren't selected and you just had a general application. You might not have been selected for some of those more specific items. So if you're looking at some of those specific openings, please select those. And if you're not tech savvy, come on in and see our Madam Clerk.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other comments or questions before we vote on this? Commissioner German.
Yeah, just a comment also, and thank you, Commissioner Cochin, for bringing this up because earlier in my year as a volunteer in the community, these are things that I did to learn more about local government. And as an educator, I talk to students and kids in the community about getting involved in local politics and what's happening in their community, just to volunteer that time to educate yourself. So these are ways to start your public service and maybe one day be sitting in a seat like this in this chamber, holding one of the seats. So I encourage you all as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner German. And thank you to everyone that has applied to serve, and more importantly, those that are serving. So, if there's nothing else, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner German.
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Now we'll get started with the public hearings. All right, first we're going to have the report out on this item, and then we'll give commissioners the opportunity to ask any questions of staff. Then we'll go to public comment as part of the public hearing. After that, we'll close it and consider the motion, the underlying motion, and there'll be additional opportunity for commissioners to ask questions and share any thoughts you have before we vote. So, good evening and welcome. If you'd kindly introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Contessa Alexander, Development Analyst with the City of Muskegon. Lakeshore Hotel Partners LLC is requesting the establishment of a commercial redevelopment, a commercial redevelopment district at their property at 181 181 Viridian Drive. Sorry about that. This project will result in a hotel, Element Hotel by Marriott, which will be 132 rooms. It'll have a restaurant, fitness center, and an indoor pool. It'd be a 5-story building with 50 new jobs and 225 construction jobs during development. Also with this project, for your consideration of the district, this will allow the developer to consider their commercial redevelopment facilities exemption following this public hearing.
Thank you.
And also, the developer, Mike Hausman, is present, so he's able to answer any project-specific questions you might have.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff or would like to hear from the developer at this time? The next item is on this matter as well. So you can reserve it till then if you wish, or you can ask it now. Address it now.
I'd like to hear from him.
All right. Mr. Hausman, if you would kindly introduce yourself.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Mike Houseman. I represent Lakeshore Partners LLC and also Harbor 31. So I'm here quite ecstatic about trying to move this forward. It's been a long process, obviously, between economic conditions and whatnot. We're very happy to have Marriott Element as our flag. We're in for 90% final review with Marriott, and we have a couple of lenders that have written term sheets, so we're very close to breaking ground and hope to do that within the next month and a half. So,
Excellent.
and I'm here for any questions you might have.
I'm also quite excited to jumped over Commissioner Cochin's item just to get to this one quicker. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Hausman? Commissioner Kilgo.
Thank you. I know we, the city, have some work to do as far as integrating that side of Shoreline Drive with downtown side. Do you all have any plans, though, to connect sidewalks from your building to the road, wherever? Just for clarification, the hotel will be on the west side of the roundabout circle,
Correct, yes.
so closer to the hub,
Yep.
to the GVSU hub?
Yep, right across the street from the hub.
Okay. Do you all have plans for sidewalks around your building?
We do. We're working with Mr. Franizak with as much connectivity as we can. It'll also incorporate with the other two residential developments that we're reworking at this moment, so.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kilgo. Commissioners, any other questions you may have? Or? Commissioner German.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And thank you for that information. Reading information, this is like a $30 million project.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
The budget's 31,800,000.
Okay. And is this your first project this size for a hotel?
No, not at all.
Okay,
I could probably get some of our information to the commissioners if they'd like, that would spell out the amount of hotels that the group has done, somewhat separate or together. So this is definitely fits within the type of hotels they do. They probably, Great Lakes Capital is my primary partner, and I think they have about 12 flags out there across the country.
Okay, so you got some skin in the game there. So
Absolutely.
yeah, okay.
I got a lot of skin in the game.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Commissioner German. To piggyback on Commissioner Kilgo's question a moment ago, do you anticipate connecting that to the trail as well, or having
Absolutely.
access point, because the Lakeshore Trail goes right by there, so it'll be
Yes.
easy access to get on off the trail. To
Absolutely, yeah. We see that as a very nice component and a benefit to people staying at the hotel.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. So this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on the establishment of a commercial redevelopment district at 181 Meridian Drive? So right now, comments should be reserved to establishing the district. We will be considering the establishment or the issuance of a commercial facility exemption certificate subsequently if the district is established. But if you have any input on the establishment of a commercial redevelopment district, we will hear that now. I see no takers in the audience, so we are going to go to the phones. That number is 231-724-6721. Doesn't sound like we have any takers for this public hearing. All right, thank you. Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing and approve the request from Lakeshore Hotel Partners LLC to establish a commercial redevelopment district at 181 Meridian Drive and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the resolution.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kilgo, supported by Commissioner German. Any follow-up questions or comments to share? Commissioner Kilgo? Commissioner German?
No, nothing.
Other commissioners? All right, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Next up, public hearing on the issuance of a commercial facilities exemption certificate for Lakeshore Hotel Partners LLC at 181 Meridian Drive. Welcome back.
Hello again. I did want to mention that the Tax Abatement Committee, which is an internal committee, met to score this project based on the tax incentive policy. And they scored the project at the maximum amount of points, which are 12 or 10, which corresponds to a 12-year tax abatement. I also wanted to discuss the actual tax incentive. So this incentive is for development of commercial properties and mixed-use buildings. So for this particular property, since it's a new building, what we do is look at the taxable value at post-construction, and then we add the 50% reduction with their millage rate.
All right, thank you, Analyst Alexander. Just to confirm, the recommendation from the Internal Tax Incentive Committee is for a 12-year
Yep.
term of
Correct.
the certificate. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Analyst Alexander at this time? Yes.
Yes, thank
Commissioner
you,
German.
Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Now, and those tax incentives of abatements, that's based on also the equal opportunity and the compliance. So, could you explain that? Just explain how we get those tax abatements.
Yeah, so for these tax abatements, like I mentioned, if it's a project that's looking to add any commercial units or development of mixed-use buildings, they'll probably be eligible for this abatement. So we look at their project, the total capital investment involved, and we try to see if it makes a good fit. For this one, it did. And with that, like I mentioned, it allows for a tax reduction for developers.
Okay. If I remember correctly, years back, they also looked at the crew that you would hire if they were like EEOC compliant. Did that have anything? Did that play into the equation also?
So not for this particular tax abatement, so that one's more for the IFT or industrial
Okay.
tax incentives. We
Okay.
then look at that.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner German.
Thank you.
Any other? Oh, Commissioner Kilgo.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Alexander. I don't have a question. I just would like to make a statement. The city of Muskegon is growing, and I'm grateful for developers bringing new things. And I think one of the things that entices developers to come is because our internal departments, Mike or Jake or anybody, people can come and sit down with them and they really explain to developers how open we are. Now, we have rules and we have this and that and the other, but we have the internal departments that do the calculations for the tax abatements. And that makes developers say, yeah, I want to come to Muskegon and build these new things so that we have nice new things. So I just want to express my gratitude to our internal staff and the great job you guys do. So thank you.
So much. And yeah, we would love for any developers, business owners looking to learn more about these tax incentives, please give us a call. Come to Development Services, room 202. We'll be happy to help and explain the process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Well put and well acknowledged. Any other comments or questions, commissioners? Nope. All right. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to give comment with regard to the issuance of a commercial facilities exemption certificate for Lakeshore Hotel Partners LLC at 181 Viridian Drive? Yes, Mr. Hausman.
I didn't really want to add anything to the construction, or unless you have questions, but I did want to concur with Mr. Kilgo that your staff is amazing. Jake, Mike, Contessa, all of them. They're always great to work with, and they seek and look for solutions. They don't say no. They say, well, we can't do that, but why don't we look at this? So it's a real pleasure. I work all over the country, all over the state, and it's very, very refreshing to work here. So I want to pay that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We are definitely fortunate to have a team of competent and creative folks who, like you said, they try to problem solve when problems come up, issues come up, and not just, nope, can't do that. Sorry, move on. Very fortunate. But thank you, too, for you and your team's diligence and dedication to the redevelopment of Harbor 31. This has been a long time coming, many, many, many years, and we've seen the fruits of those efforts play out with Harbor Terrace Senior Living now developed and fully staffed, and quite a few of the units occupied, if not almost all of them coming up. And so it has been really nice to see that come to fruition, and those jobs being created, those living places being created, providing a service for our residents and newcomers here. And I'm really excited for this hotel to come online. And I didn't realize there was going to be a restaurant included. So that's going to be real nice. I have an office right across the street from there. So and I'll have somewhere I can just walk to for lunch. So that's going to be really nice. Thank you. We are going to go to the phones for any comment on this issuance of a commercial facilities exemption certificate. That number is 231-724-6721. It doesn't sound like we have any callers. All right. Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing and approve the request from Lakeshore Hotel Partners LLC to issue a commercial facilities exemption certificate at 181 Viridian Drive for a period of 12 years and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the resolution.
So moved.
All right, a motion by Commissioner German, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair. Unless there are any questions or comments, roll call, please.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you and congrats. Oh, one real quick question before you leave. When do we expect groundbreaking?
We're aiming for March.
March?
So
Okay.
we're not waiting necessarily for the bank financing to be completed. We have the funds to start once we have their commitment.
Okay.
And so we'll get started on with our own funds. So we're aiming for March to start doing auger cast piles.
All right. And hoping to complete by?
Oh, we want to be in before summer 2026.
Okay.
So that March, April time of 2026.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Yep,
Take care and be well.
thanks.
Next item is a public hearing on a neighborhood enterprise zone certificate for 485 Mary Street, which was formerly 845 Ducey Avenue. Welcome. Please introduce yourself and report out on this item.
Evening, everyone. I'm Jocelyn Hines, Development Analyst here with the City of Muskegon.
Good evening.
So I'm before you all again in regards to another new construction neighborhood enterprise zone. If you all recall, in October 22nd, 2024 meeting, we made some amendments to the existing neighborhood enterprise zone to create opportunity for rehab or new construction in some of our core areas here in the City of Muskegon. So fortunately, this address was able to now be included in our neighborhood enterprise zone district. So we are requesting an approval of a neighborhood enterprise zone for 15 years for 485 Mary Street. They're looking at a construction cost of approximately $175,000 and have been working with, this is a developer who has done several projects with the City of Muskegon before. You all sold this, it was a city lot and it was sold to the current developer back in the October 8th meeting. So the developer is here to answer any questions you all might have in regards to approving this NEZ for 485 Mary Street.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions at this time before we go to public comment? All right, this is a public hearing with regard to the issuance of a neighborhood enterprise zone certificate for 485 Mary Street, formerly 845 Ducey Avenue. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to give comment on this certificate specifically. See no takers in the audience, we will go to the phones. That number is 231-724-6721. Again, this is public comment specifically with regard to the issuance of a neighborhood enterprise zone certificate. Doesn't sound like we have any callers. All right. Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing and to approve the neighborhood enterprise zone district certificate at 485 Mary Street, formerly 845 Ducey Avenue, and to authorize the city clerk and mayor to sign this certificate resolution. Commissioner Kilgo?
Yeah, before we approve that, I do have a question, if I may.
Do you want to make the motion, then you ask the question under debate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do that. So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kilgo, supported by Commissioner Cochin. Commissioner Kilgo.
Yeah, I looked up where this this property was for the developer. It's kind of right by that church. Do they have plans on working with that church at all I mean, you said that the target price will be about $175,000. Oh, that's the cost of construction. Do we know, where around about price that the property retail for?
Yeah, the developer's here, so he can answer those questions.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mayor. Steve Benedict. The property is pending providing this certificate completion. She cannot afford full price of taxes, so I believe she's watching online. And then I believe she'll have to come back here and transfer it out of my name, but we need it in my name in order for her to go to the bank. It's the last part of the underwriting. So the sales price is $225. It is the smallest home that I've built in the city of Muskegon. I believe it's 945 square feet. There was another one that she fell in love with, but was built prior to this NEZ zone, and so that one still currently sits on the market due to the high taxes.
Okay. So you already have this one sold. It'll help this buyer get into the home with
Yes.
the NEZ.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's going to save. I'd like to say it was like $400 a month
Awesome.
by this NEZ certificate.
Awesome. No further questions.
Any other questions for? And I don't know if you introduced yourself at the beginning. I might
Yes, I did. It says
Okay, I
Steve
just want to make
Benedict.
sure you're properly
Yep.
named and identified.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Benedict. Commissioner German.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mayor, and welcome, Mr. Benedict. I've
you.
seen some of your projects.
Thank you.
Looking good around the city there. And actually, tenant that you're talking about, what a possible potential buyer, she did reach out to me. And I got a chance to reach out to Director Franzik and Ms. Jocelyn Hine, who gave me some clarity on, the whole take of why she reached out. But I think this is great that we're expanding this NEZ enterprise zone in the core of the city. And yeah, if we could save potential buyers a few $100, $400, that will help out a lot.
Yeah, I think she's retired, so I think she's. I don't know if she gets a pension or what, but I mean, it's great to see homeowners at that age. I know she's currently renting in a complex there on Marquette, so I'm happy for her.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the work that you're doing,
Thank you.
and keep up the good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Any other questions for Mr. Benedict? All right, thank you. Analyst Hines. So it's the staff recommendation for a term of 15 years on the certificate?
Yeah, so, yep, it'll, we're asking for approval of 15 years, and once, the house is officially sold to the, potential buyer, then we would submit a, transfer of the NEZ certificate to them, and then they can complete the however many years after the purchase of the property.
Okay. With 15 being the maximum.
Yes,
allowed by
15
law.
is the maximum,
Okay.
yep.
We do need to amend the motion to reflect a 15-year term for the certificate. If you'd like to,
Read it out. Yeah.
if you'd like to just amend your motion to
Yeah,
reflect
no.
15 years.
I amend my motion to add it to reflect 15 years.
Support.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Kilgo, thank you, Commissioner German. All right. Then, just so it's clear, I'm going to reread it again. The motion that we're going to be voting on is to close the public hearing and approve the NEZ certificate at 485 Mary Street for a duration of 15 years and to authorize the city clerk and mayor to sign the certificate resolution. So unless there's any additional questions or comments, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Next item is Neighborhood Enterprise Zone Certificate for 263 West Muskegon Avenue.
Yeah, so this is, I think since I've been in this role, this is the first time we've saw a rehab. So this is a rehabilitation for 263 West Muskegon Avenue in our historic Nelson area here in the city of Muskegon. The new or revised NEZ map wouldn't have impacted this as it was already included in our NEZ districts here in the city of Muskegon. So the developer it is a 3-unit residential property here, and they are looking to do some work externally to the property amounting around $4,000. I think it's some re-roofing and re-siding. They have been in front of the Historical District Commission and got approval of the design and the work that they're trying to do. So you'll see that approval in your packet as well. And it's 3 units, and the developer is also here to talk anything through the project, just to kind of create the difference. With new construction, there's not necessarily the price of new construction is so high, so it often meets the threshold of what's allowed under an NEZ district. With the rehab, there is some criteria in regards to how much you need to spend per unit in regards to NEZ rehabs, and the developer meets those requirements since it's not owner occupied.
Okay, and the recommendation here is also for a term
Yeah,
of
so
15 years?
it needs to be amended as well to
Okay.
include the 15 years, yes.
All right. Commissioners, any questions for staff before we go to public hearing? Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes. I'm curious if the developer or, would like to speak on the rents for each unit. They're obviously putting money into this, taking something that was run down or old or blighted and making it nice again. But with the NEZ, it'll help with taxes. Will the residents or the tenants of this building see any fruits of that? So are rents going to be capped or lowered, or are they just market rate rents or something like that? I am curious.
Hi, Mayor and Commissioners. Thanks for reviewing my property tonight. But I'm Ryan Cry. I'm the owner of the property. So I've already done interior work prior to knowing about the NEZ. So interior's been pretty well updated. I mean, I added air conditioning units to every unit. Redid bathrooms, redid painted floors. Everything is up to standard. Rents are not going to go up once this is completed. I just want to make the property, it's right next to the Shell gas station. My neighbors kind of, it doesn't feel like, it feels like the not best looking house in the neighborhood. And I want to kind of conform and make it look like the rest of the houses right next door to mine. Everybody has a ton of pride in their properties that live around me. I love the city of Muskegon. I want to contribute. So I'm just looking for qualifying for the NEZ so I can put some money into the property and make my house look like it fits into the city where it's located.
Awesome. So my follow-up question would be, if this is approved, then you would put money into the curb appeal or the outside view of the home?
Correct. Residing, there's just, it's wood siding with paint right now. Just doesn't look the best. I mean, the wood is just kind of looking dilapidated, but not really. I mean, it's in good working condition. It just doesn't look the best because I think it's been redone poorly over the years. So I'd like to get it up to standard, blend in with the neighborhood.
For sure. Yeah, I'd love to see that house. I don't know your particular house, but obviously there's a neighbor behind you whose house has been in front of the commission and in front of the housing people and stuff. And I know people in the neighborhood would love to see the curb appeal brought back up there in the neighborhood. So no further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Commissioner German.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for being here tonight to speak on this. I know exactly where that property is at. It's right in my ward as well, right by the Shell's gas station. And the houses next to it, they look really nice, so that would be an enhancement also to that block and the community. And anytime developers or business people want to do something to enhance or better the community, to increase the livability for tenants, I can support that. And so I appreciate you taking on this initiative, and I'd like to see the finished results when it's done. I'm quite sure the community would appreciate it also.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Commissioners, anything else to ask at this time? Commissioner Kilgo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One follow-up. This will probably be for staff. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
So if we've never am I correct in saying we've never done an NEZ for a rehab to this point?
We have, I think we have done some rehab. I haven't done any since my time at the city, but I don't know if Director Franzik has done some NEZ rehabs in the past. Have you done NEZ rehabs in the past?
No, they did it before I got here,
Okay.
but I never did it.
Okay.
I understand the new construction. I'm just thinking if we set this 15 years for a rehab, is that like all rehabs that fall within the zone? Staff thinks that 15 years on the rehab is good compared to that's the same amount that we give to new construction.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Historically, we've given everybody the maximum versus, rehab or new construction. I guess we're saying a lot of us currently on staff haven't done a lot of rehab of new construction. So I think it's something that we definitely can take into account moving forward if we do not want to give the highest years to rehabs versus new construction. I think we would love the recommendation of the commissioner. We can take it back internally and decide. So I would say right now the discretion is up to you all in regards to approval of how many years you think is appropriate for a rehab.
For sure. This is 3 homes. I mean, if it's a 3-unit building,
yeah,
it's
for sure.
providing 3 homes for people. And it's not that I don't believe the developer. I just know, okay, 5 years from now, the economy changes, or 10 years from now, the economy changes. I doubt that rents are going to stay the same for 15
for
years.
Sure.
So they're just curious questions. I am, I'm comfortable because of what is looking to be done, but I just, for future, just something for us to think about, I guess.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kyogo, and that's a good question. So then maybe merit further discussion amongst the commission on that point. Can you, Analyst Hines, speak to the tax incentive that's associated with the rehab versus new construction? Because the benefit's different in terms of what's abated. And so with the rehab, it is freezing the taxable value.
The new
and so
taxable
your
value.
new taxable value as a result of the investment is what's being abated.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for staff right now?
Just one other question. Thank you, Ms. Hines. I know you briefly just stated that we've had some conversations about these abatements or any of these certificates for redevelopment, opposed to new construction. And I get that question quite a bit now because people are looking to buy homes and they want that incentive. But in this case, we're looking at 15 years, and I'm glad Commissioner Kilgo brought that up. Have we is there a actual number that I could share with constituents or community members or residents if they choose to do this, remodel their homes? What is that dollar amount or that threshold that they have to meet to be able to be eligible for NEZ certificate?
Yeah, so I want to clarify, like further discussion probably has to be had in regards to amount that we would abate for the years in regards to, but you're talking about specific investment, right? Like
Right.
dollar amount in
Yep.
investment. Okay, so it's usually, I think it's like a percentage of the true cash value up to like 142. So 142,541, 50% of that true cash value, or whichever is less. So it depending on the cost of construction versus the true cash value, whichever one is less. So improvements done by a licensed contractor for owner-occupied facility is up to $11,877. Improvements done by a licensed contractor for non-owner occupied facility is $17,817. And improvements in cost of materials done by the owner for an owner-occupied facility is $3,563. And improvements in the cost of materials done by the owner for a non-owner occupied facility is $5,344.
Okay. And that's actually documented, and that's information that can be given out to the residents.
Yep.
Okay.
So if I think I mentioned this last meeting, but we plan as a internal staff to do some community engagement in regards to educating the community, specifically on NEZ rehab. So once we roll out those community engagement opportunities, we'll make sure the information is available in regards to the dollars amounts that are appropriate to, seek approval for an NEZ certificate.
All right, thank you. Great.
Thank you, Commissioner Jeremy. And then, as part of the engagement rollout, this NAZ certificate would be available for folks that may wish to renovate their house to, add a duplex, now that that's permitted as a use by right, or an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. And I'm just curious, with an ADU, would it fall under new construction or would it fall under rehab? I don't.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious about that.
Yeah.
But I think I thank you that you guys are going to be having that engagement and information. I think that is important that folks know of the resources and incentives that are available to them.
Yeah.
And I think it's particularly important to connect that to the new,
Yeah.
development opportunities that are available to our residents and property owners in this community.
Yeah, and I appreciate the questions too, because I think considering NEZs are becoming more popular, I think it's probably time for us to consider putting more shape to it in regards to explicitly saying these are the things that the commission wants to see and support. So I appreciate the questions in regards to accounting for a duplex or ADUs on property. Do we consider that new in rehab, and rehab being the whole 15 years and rolling out the cost of the construction and things like that too. So I think these are questions that we can take back to staff and have a better answer for some of those in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a question I'm going to put you on the spot, and if you don't have the answer right now, that's perfectly fine. But I think that this may be something that we want to reflect on if it's permissible by law. I'm curious, as we are communicating and engaging our community, does the commission have the discretion to distinguish between a property that would see new investment for whether to turn it into a duplex or adding an ADU, and that it's owner occupied by a resident versus it being owned by non-resident? Do we have the discretion to give a longer term of a certificate for a resident, owner occupied resident?
I believe so. If you want a more formal opinion, we probably need to talk about it. We certainly can distinguish between an owner occupied and a rental. We could not distinguish between what is going to become an owner occupied by an existing resident versus going to become owned and occupied by a currently non-resident.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that insight. I think that as part of the examination that Commissioner Kilgo has inspired as to how we determine maximum for rehabs, I think that it would warrant some consideration of do we want to distinguish between residents or non-resident, because particularly with the new development opportunities with duplexes and ADUs, this could be a great tool to help our residents build equity and have that multi-generational wealth that we so often talk about being important to our community. So just something for us to think about as we move forward with that conversation in the future. Commissioner Cochin.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if we thought that as part of this rehab conversation that we're having, that we thought, you're talking about multi-generational families and homes, if making things more ADU accessible for like handicap ramps might be something that would be considered in an NEZ rehab capacity.
I think that certainly could be included in future conversation in terms of if you have certain level of visibility or access, that could be a criteria for getting the maximum term. So I think that's something that we certainly can include in our future conversation and consideration. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions for staff right now? All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to give comment with regard to the issuance of a neighborhood enterprise zone certificate for 263 West Muskegon Avenue? Seeing no one in the audience, we'll go to the phones. That number is 231-724-6721. This is a public hearing specific to an NEZ certificate for 263 West Muskegon Avenue. It doesn't look like we have any callers. Okay. Commissioners, I'm going to read the recommended motion, and if you agree, so moved. If you wish to modify it, then you're welcome to do so. I would welcome a motion to close the public hearing and to approve the Neighborhood Enterprise Zone District Certificate for a term of 15 years at 263 West Muskegon Avenue and authorize the city clerk and mayor to sign the certificate and resolution.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Cochin, supported by Commissioner Kilgo. Are there any questions or comments before we go to vote? No? All right. Roll call, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. And thank you, sir, for your investment on choosing to continue growing with Muskegon. All right. Now we're on to any other business. A couple things I wish to share and speak on. One of which is last week with the polar vortex having descended upon our community. Quite frigid, blustery, dangerous conditions, challenging conditions. And I want to recognize and give appreciation to our DPW personnel who were working overdrive, trying to ensure that our roads are navigable and cleared, even as it just continuously snowed. Not to mention the wind continuously blowing the snow drift everywhere and in whiteout conditions as well. And so I just want to give thanks and appreciation to our DPW workers, as well as our public safety professionals, our firefighters, and our police officers. During this time, we saw a considerable uptick in service calls. I know when I was at the fire station last Monday, hosting a warming location at the community room there, I observed that the fire trucks were coming and going all day long. As soon as they'd get back from a call, there'd be another service call and they'd be leaving again. And it just was continuous. And they were out there providing relief and helping people in distress in those frigid conditions. And so I want to recognize and extend my appreciation, and I trust our collective appreciation from this commission for our DPW and public safety professionals. I do also wish to acknowledge, and I won't read it all. I mean, if the chief wishes to read it, he's certainly welcome to do so. But I do want to draw people's attention to a statement, a communication that was put out from our Muskegon Police Department yesterday with regard to addressing rumors and concerns surrounding immigration and customs enforcement activity that was believed to have been happening in our area. I suspect some of the people that thought that may have been due to a joint municipal operation that had occurred between the cities of Northern Shores and of Muskegon, as well as with a Muskegon County task force to serve a warrant and apprehend a individual who's alleged to have committed multiple armed robberies in our city and in Northern Shores. And so I think that some of that robust and active police activity might have given some people reason to believe it was ICE activity or involvement. But nonetheless, our police department did put out a communication yesterday speaking to its policy with regard to immigration enforcement and how they handle that, and then also just speaking to its mission and speaking to its values. And so I want to give my thanks to the police department as well as to our communications and community engagement team drafting that. I thought it was just very matter of fact, to the point with regard to our police department's practices and policy, while also emphasizing our police department's mission and its values. And so I thought that was very well done, and I want to acknowledge that and extend my appreciation for that. And also, kudos on apprehending the gentleman who is believed to be responsible for the armed robberies in our community. So, commissioners, anything else to bring up? Commissioner Cochin.
Yes, and thank you for bringing those up because those were on my list too. I just wanted to thank everybody who was able to come out to the city engagement session in regards to the watershed access, i.e. the Fisherman's Landing and Mart Dock proposal. And last night, there are 2 more sessions coming up February 4th from 5:30 to 7 o'clock at the DPW, and February 17th, 4 to 5:30 at the Muskegon Innovation Hub. There's going to be the presentation explaining what the proposal is for the project. You'll have a chance to ask questions and share your thoughts, and we kind of really want to hear what your thoughts are in regards to this project before we vote on it. So please come out and let us know what your thoughts are.
Thank you for that reminder, Commissioner Cochin. The engagement session yesterday was very well attended, and it was a good conversation. Our staff did very nicely with the presentation, and we got some good questions and feedback from the community, which I found was helpful. And also, I meant to note that with regard to the communication from the police department that was shared yesterday, you can find that on our website, shorelinecity.com. It's under news there. You can also find it at the Muskegon Police Department Facebook page, and it has been shared by the City of Muskegon Facebook page as well as City of Muskegon government. So if anyone is looking for that statement. Commissioner Kilgo.
Thank you. I'd just like to say again, we don't have a date for the Apple Avenue reconstruction final public engagement. But when that date does come out, I will be sharing it. And then the other thing that I wanted to say to not only my constituents, but all of our constituents, your commissioners are available to talk with you, whether you send them an email or you set a meeting with them. The mayor's available. He has open office hours. Lots of things going on in our country, but I think it's important for us local elected officials to know that we are here locally for our constituents. And it's, to some people, I've had many conversations over the last couple weeks. It's scary to some people, and I'm here to listen, and I'm here to I'm here to help. I'm here to help the people of Muskegon, and all of our commissioners and our mayor are as well. So don't fret. We'll get through it. Tomorrow's a new day, and just keep pressing on.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo.
Just one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was trying to find it. I'm trying to look it up very quickly. Because while we don't have a date that I'm aware for the engagement that you're referencing with regard to Apple Avenue, there is an event scheduled for other road projects and construction projects that will be happening this year. And I saw a notice, an event created for it, and I'm trying to find it right quick. 2025 road construction project. So that is Wednesday, February 19th at 4 p.m. That's going to be at DPW, so that's 1350 East Keating Avenue. And that will be from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So again, that's Wednesday, February 19th, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at DPW, 1350 East Keating Avenue, so the east side of the city. That's going to be our upcoming road construction projects for this year of 2025. I don't anticipate. Hopefully, we'll have a date though to share at that event for people to then follow up with regard to the engagement on future and in future years the reconstruction and redevelopment of Apple Avenue. And so, Commissioner German.
Oh yes, thank you, Mayor. As you mentioned earlier, Mayor, about the weather, and last week was a bad week for everyone. A lot of hardship and issues, and I just wanted to reach out to the Jackson Hill Village apartment tenants and constituents, because I received several phone calls concerning their driveway not being shoveled, or the areas around the mailbox, and actually the streets. So also engaging with city manager and the apartment complex manager and also the regional manager, we're able to resolve those issues. And I just want to say thank you for your patience and willingness to work with each other. One resident, senior citizens, most of them had to get out and shovel around the mailbox because of medication being delivered to their homes, and the mailmen wouldn't deliver them unless that area was shoveled. So I think just being patient, but I just want to thank you for trusting in me to serve you as your commissioner, and knowing that you can count on me to try to resolve some of the issues and concerns, and also working with the city of Muskegon and the Jackson Hill neighborhood community.
Thank you, Commissioner
Yep.
Chairman. Is there anything else that commissioners wish to share under any other business? No? Okay. We're going to go to public comment on general public comment. And so I do have a couple forms. I'm going to start with Gregory Wright, who's joining us from the Sheldon Park neighborhood. Welcome, sir.
Commissioners, how are you guys tonight? Yep, my concern is about Creston Street. Okay, it's a stretch of Creston Street from Evanston, not Evanston, but what is it? Yeah, Evanston. Evanston to Apple Street. It's pretty deteriorating. It's getting old and it's very deteriorating. And basically, I was wondering if we could possibly get that repaved. I mean, just pulled up and out of there, because, you know, it's been patched before, but after the cars get to running over it and the tires take its part of it, it becomes just a bump. Okay, so that's my concern, is just to have that stretch of road repaved entirely. You know, it would be an enhancement to the community, and I'm quite sure they would thank you for it. So I was just wondering if that could be done. Okay, that's about all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining us this evening and sharing that. After the meeting, I'll touch base with you and give you some contact information for follow-up to find out, you know, where that might be, if it's, you know, scheduled for next year, or, you know, year after that, or like where it's in the queue, and what that outlook is. All right, next up, we have Miss Ann Vandermolen joining us from the city of Roosevelt Park. Welcome. You have 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
Hi. As I said last time I was here, both of my parents grew up here, but for a while we lived over in Northville in Wayne County, where I was in a suburban street gang. We called ourselves the Ladywood Pack, and we had matching t-shirts that spelled out Ladywood Pack. We partied to Kiss and Ozzy Osbourne, but our favorite song was Our Lips Are Sealed by the Go-Go's. Our t-shirts were black with pink lettering, and I know that breast cancer awareness has pink shirts with pink ribbons, but I'm asking that whenever anybody sees plain pink shirts or dress, whatever it is, to think about being against adults who physically abuse or sexually abuse children, and also for judges to think about giving harsher sentences to these people. Some of these people, in my opinion, deserve life sentences, some of these adults. So I would ask that you pass this on to your constituents. If any county commissioners are watching, if they could pass that on too. If for some reason Tudor Dixon or Hillary Skolton are watching, if they could pass that on to Washington, D.C., New York City, and if any of my old friends from Wayne County are watching, if they could pass it along to everybody over there. We need to break the cycle of adults sexually or physically abusing children. We need to break the cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vandermolen. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to give public comment at this time? All right, seeing none. We'll go to the phones. That phone number is 231-724-6721. This is to speak on anything you wish to share with the City Commission. It is not an opportunity for back and forth dialogue or Q&A. We can arrange that at a separate time. When you are calling, please identify yourself by name, and if you are a city resident, which neighborhood you are a resident of, and if you're not a City of Muskegon resident, which other township, village, or city you may be calling us from. Doesn't sound like we have any callers. Nope. All right. Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right. I heard Commissioner German first and supported by Commissioner Cochin. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you. Take care and be well.
Everybody have a good night.